Numerous experts fear that climate change exists as a risk factor for peace. One key impact is that climate change is likely to disrupt food production in many regions. This will have serious consequences for local livelihoods, particularly those dependent on farming, fishing and herding. Others will also be affected, as the risk of public unrest and civil conflict intensifies when food prices and availability become more volatile.
Climate change sort of plays out in many different ways around food security, around water, around land and so on. Fundamentally, it's redrawing the map of our world, and that's very destabilizing. It potentially makes life a lot more difficult in different parts of the world through food security problems, through internal displacement, through problems with water and so on.
There can be no food security without peace, but there also can't be any peace without food security.
Well, it's pretty complex because you have geologic, evolutionary, and human history. And so we have, millions of years of data and thousands of years of data, and it says human beings have damaged natural ecosystem function on a planetary scale. And it seems to me that climate change is more of a symptom than an actual, end result. And we've also seen that it's possible to rehabilitate large-scale damaged ecosystems. This knowledge is a responsibility. This is the way to end poverty. This is the way to have sufficient water resources, to have food security, and this is the way to address climate change.
As demographic change puts additional pressure on agricultural systems, it's more important than ever to safeguard the biosphere's ability to produce enough food to fulfill humanity's needs. It is crucial, therefore, to ensure that vulnerable communities are able to adapt to negative impacts.
Take one example in my own backyard. I live in Ethiopia, as I said, in the province of the north of Tigray. Heavily stricken by El Nino, climate impacts, huge food insecurity. So what do? Years ago, we started with many other partners to talk about restoring degraded lands. You can do that with very simple means, giving the farmers ownership over the trees. By now, farmers themselves, with their own hands, moved 90 million tons of soil, of dirt, and of stones to help with water harvesting, for terracing of the hilly terrain. If you look at that region now, it's the one region that's still food secure, despite the drought, despite El Nino. It didn't cost a heck of a lot of money.
Land restoration is but one example of many actions which can be taken to ensure food security and prevent conflict. Other examples include climate change mitigation, improving access to food, or refining early warning action systems. Global governance can support these efforts, for example by coordinating the responses, reforming trade regimes, and establishing equitable insurance schemes. To learn more about climate change, food security and conflict, and to find recommendations, have a look at the interactive ECC Factbook.